So I got a lot of you guys want me to keep requesting to do these chapters. What I'm going to be actually doing with these Rikudo chapters is I've been really enjoying talking about the first chapter, and we're going to go for all the way until I believe chapter 15, which is the current chapter. I'm going to be doing this daily, so pretty much around about when it gets to maybe the 15s or the 17s, I'm going to be talking about these chapters. And then, you know, hopefully we catch up and then we start, you know, hopefully doing weekly reviews, maybe, it depends, honestly. Like, but let's get straight on to chapter 2 of Rikudo. So one thing is, like, straight after that insane first chapter, we have, like, Riku there being investigated, saying, like, okay, like, social services are getting involved, the police, like, everything, because I mean, he murdered someone. He's there with his father getting suicide. Yeah, the kid didn't have a great day, like, yesterday. Like, he went through a lot of shit, like, being, like, fucking kicked, burned, abused. Like, he went through a bunch of insane shit throughout this, like, first chapter. And in the second one, we saw sort of, like, the recollections of, like, what kind of happened afterwards, and saying, you know, his mom got restrained, so she's such, like, a crack addict, and such, like, she's such a loony that she's being restrained by, like, leather straps, like, as, like, people are trying to take it away. She's like, oh, let me go, because that's one of the worst things, especially as well if you're a drug addict, from what I've heard, and, like, apparently from, like, people I do know, is, like, one of the worst things is actually that detoxing stage that they have to go through, and just go for the pain of that. And so, like, Riku wants to see his mom. He's like, yeah, you can't see her, maybe another time. What we actually see is Tokurazawa still there, and he was the one saying, yo, so you actually murdered that guy? Like, he's actually praising this little kid and saying, yo, good job for fucking killing that guy. And he's like, yo, thanks for the punch. And it's like, this kid is about, like, I'd like to say around about 8 years old, like maybe 8 to 9 years old. You're praising him for punching his father's dead corpse, watching his mother suck a crack-addict dealer's dick, and then murdering said person with an ashtray. Oh no, everything's okay until you have the ashtray. No, you should have killed him with his fist. Definitely you can see, like, this guy, like, he's not exactly the nicest of guys, like, when he's actually forcing a child to murder another person. But even so, it's like, when you saw that, he's like, yo, you got your fist is there to hit back. You know, these are your weapons. Like, these are your gauntlets that you need. These are your swords. You don't need nothing else. Like, using an ashtray is like a cowardly way to use it. And he's like, he was actually forced to leave because he, like, fucking punched, like, one of the fucking board trays. And it honestly seems like he's a good guy, but he's fucked up. Like, and I think definitely later on throughout the manga we'll see, like, what really progresses, and maybe hopefully find out more about this guy, more about Tokurazawa, because I honestly think this guy's a very interesting one to show, like, what kind of path is he really honestly going to go by. Like, I'm genuinely curious, like, what is his final path? Like, what is he going to take, like, to actually show? Is he going to be like a mentor? Is he going to be like a father figure to Riku? That's what I really want to know, because obviously his actual father is a fucking piece of like, shit bag. And when we see it, like, one thing that kind of got to me in this chapter after that whole little leading is like, hey man, go and, like, have a little punch, you know, punch my fist and stuff. Noticing that, you know, he's got a strong fist, he's able to hit him. Kind of really reminds me, and it's like, I know it's like another boxing series, but felt a lot like when Makina Uchi and Hajime Ippo punched the punching bag so hard that he actually ripped off his skin and, like, pretty much fucked up the punching bag. It was kind of like that, where he's like, instead of Tokurazawa, and he's like, oh fuck, my hand stings a little bit after that. That kid's got a little bit of a quite strong hand there. It's like, and one thing that really added up to this chapter, I feel, and one thing that I kind of really got very upset, like, kind of, I'm not gonna lie, the feels were there, and this is only 2 chapters into the series, when Riku's there with, like, one of, like, the caretakers, like, for the orphanage, comes to pick him up, and she's there, like, holding him and saying, you know, everything's alright, and he just thinks of the times when his father just used to beat the shit out of him, kick him when he's throwing up. This kid's gone through a lot, and I feel this is the only time to see he reminds me a lot of he seems like a silent, he doesn't really want to show his emotions, you know, kind of a little bit like Haiji from Hungry Joker. He's that sort of character where it just bottled up and he just had to let it go, and this is like one of the only other times that we're going to actually see kind of more true emotions for Riku, and I think definitely that hit home a lot more at the end of this chapter, and I thought it was a beautiful moment. But then the chapter ends, it seems like we got another fucking scumbag after fucking Riku. He's like, where's that Riku Azami? I'm gonna beat this shit. Like, this kid just can't get enough. Like, so I'm guessing, like, maybe this guy was, like, maybe, like, his, like, supplier, his dealer, maybe he was just, like, one of the Yakuza members, so very curious about what that's going to happen, and you know what's going to be a recollection of this guy. Is he's going to be the main like baddie or something? I honestly doubt it. I imagine like maybe like that Tokorozawa is going to step in and like take care of him. But honestly, this is like I really enjoy this series so far, and you know, definitely gonna be reading these a chapter at a time. And I honestly, I can see a lot of potential in this series. I can really see it, and I hope it does. And I really do. I know it's only 15 chapters in right now, but when I see potential in a series, I want to push it. I know I can't support it since I know it's over in Japan. I can't affect the sales just with one thing, but I really want the Japanese audience to see that this is a good series. Like, Ippo's been going on for all these years. Obviously, this doesn't have to be this long, but I want this to do a bit where it actually goes somewhere. You know, maybe an anime, like maybe a 13-episode anime. I'd be cool with that. Like, honestly though, if it was an anime, it'd be so censored. Like, no way could this ever be aired because it's so fucked up. It is honestly very messed up, and I could never see this like really go down unless there's like heavy censorship on the first episode. So honestly, really enjoyed this one. I think like I don't really get scores to these chapters since I'm kind of reading them through, but I think for this one, because I nearly get the first one of the chapter, I think this one really hit me in the feels, and I think this was like an 8.5 to like a 9. I think this was an amazing chapter, but very emotional filled. But yeah, like chapter 1 just happened by shock. That was a 10. That was just like a 10 out of 10 that chapter. But let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this chapter of Rikudo, and like, hey, I'm gonna hopefully try and keep these up daily, you know, until we catch up to this series. I mean, like I said, I really want to talk about this, and I feel like this is something, a nice little breath of fresh air. If I keep talking about these chapters, you know, maybe I might get more people into this, and not to mention as well, as my subscribers will be like reading these chapters pretty much at the same time, and you know, talking a review, and you know, we'll be catching up together. And I kind of think that's a little cool thing for me and subscribers. I think that's like a little personal touch I can add to the channel. Say, hey, we went through this journey together, you know, all that cheesy shit. But that's all from me, so thank you very much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys next time.